think that our future depends on us being self-sufficient.
These young people have it figured out. They know the way forward, and we need to follow them. And in that spirit, we're so excited tonight to have one of our leading youth climate activists joining us tonight for a live interview, Xiuhtezcatl Martinez. I'm going to introduce him in a little bit, but before that, I wanted to bring on the last young woman you saw on that video, Ari Sprauer. Come on forward, Ari.
Hello.
Hi, Ari.
Hi.
Is a bright, very intelligent, smart, passionate defender of the earth. She has a lot of amazing ideas and creativity, and she's here in the Valley organizing and working hard to create a future that we all can live in. And when I was thinking about this interview with Xiuhtezcatl Martinez, I thought, who's really the best person to interview Xiuhtezcatl? And immediately I thought of Ari, because she is a young activist who's fighting for a better future. And it was so important for me to see her, to empower her and see that conversation between another really inspiring and incredible youth activist, talking about our future and how we were going to navigate the challenges ahead. So Ari, thank you for agreeing to do this.
Thank you, Jasmine. I feel so honored to be able to do this today.
Awesome. So Xiuhtezcatl Martinez, we are so blessed and fortunate to have him with us today. He is a hip hop artist. He's an activist. He's an amazing human being. He is the youth director for Earth Guardians. He was born in Colorado, but raised in the traditions of his indigenous Mexican heritage. And he's got an incredible voice for our planet. He's just 19 years old, I think the same age as you, Ari. And he's one of 21 young people that's suing the US government in a famous court case to secure the constitutional right to life and liberty by demanding action on climate change and a reduction in fossil fuel use. He was recently named in Time Magazine's Next 100 as a rising star, helping shape our future. And he's been on tons of talk shows. I won't name them all, but he's been with Van Jones and Pharrell Williams on the Trevor Noah Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Real Time with Bill Maher. He's been featured in tons of major news and media outlets, PBS, Showtime, National Geographic, the list goes on. He's got an incredible talent for connecting people through popular culture and sharing a very important message from his indigenous roots to help protect our planet. If you're not familiar with Xiuhtezcatl and his work, I want to share with you a short video clip that really shows truly what a talent this young man is. So let's see that video clip.
This is the year that we take back the power with our music, with our voice, with our passion for every generation to follow.
I really got involved in environmental activism when I was 6 years old.
I just said a prayer in my native language. I was giving thanks to all the elements, the water, the fire, the earth, the air.
You're 16. Mm-hmm. You may be the youngest person on our show.
My name is Xiuhtezcatl. I'm 18 years old. I'm a climate activist and a hip-hop artist using my music and my voice to inspire young people across the planet to engage in creating a positive difference in the world.
We are at a tipping point right now where we will either be remembered as a generation that destroyed the planet, as a generation that put profits before future, or as a generation that united to address the greatest issue of our time.
Our generation is the least racist, the most educated, the most diverse, and the best equipped to handle our climate crisis. Young people and students need to be involved, not only because this is our future, because we are here now and we hold power today. in having that dialogue within our classrooms and asking young people, how do you feel about this? How does climate change affect you? And if it doesn't affect you, what is your responsibility in the sense of it affecting the greater world around you? These kind of different questions need to be asked, and young people's voices need to be heard so that we can feel an investment and a connection to this crisis. And this is our movement. This is your movement, and you have a part to play. So play that role. Please join our campaign and help us get our artwork into 20,000 schools.
Wow. So without further ado, it's my great honor to introduce Xiuhtezcatl Martinez. Welcome to the Metao Valley. There you are. Hello. I heard you today on the live stream on Instagram with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was awesome. That was a very, very, very inspiring conversation. That was very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, really powerful. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to you guys to have a conversation. I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Hi. Okay.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm super ready. I'm excited to have this conversation. And yeah, I've got some questions for you, and it's kind of stuff that I've just been thinking a lot about, and I wanted to hear what you have to say as such a prominent climate activist. So yeah, I thought we'd just go right into it. My first question is, often we witness that the relationship between our youth and elders in this country is broken. What are ways that we can work to build back those relationships, and why do you think they're so important?
Yeah, I think most of the countries in the world that I've visited and been to have a much stronger emphasis on that intergenerational connection and respect than we do here in the United States. From my family in Latin America and in Mexico, and just understanding kind of the deep importance, the deep role that like that family, the familial connection is so critical. I think for indigenous peoples, so much of our practicing of cultural survival, of decolonization, of resistance against oppressive systems doesn't just look like fighting pipelines and standing in the way of fossil fuel development, but it's literally like speaking to our elders and learning our language, you know, and so for all people, for all, you know, walks of life, all different races, all communities, there's an exchange of knowledge that happens both ways that I think is absolutely critical to hold space for. And I think this moment of within this global pandemic, it sheds a light on the fact that like our elders are like a very sacred group of people on this planet that are vulnerable to a lot of the impacts, not just of this virus, but of you know, every other major disaster that is going to continue to happen, that, you know, there's a need to protect and defend and stand in solidarity with the older members of our community. And at the same time, you know, there's a lot of broken ideologies, I think, and broken ways of seeing the world that older generations hold on to. So it's I think creating a discussion in a space where you can go back and forth both ways.
Yeah, so sort of just making sure that we make the effort to communicate and we keep reaching out is one of those important ways.
100%. And being patient too. You gotta be patient, because some of those conversations are really hard. Like I know a lot of my friends have grandparents who are either like hella racist, or, you know, they don't believe in the climate crisis, or, you know, they're you know, bought into like conservative media, like whatever it is. So there are difficult conversations, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I know I've totally experienced it, and I've definitely worked to better my communication. But yeah, I think it's definitely like, it's such an important thing that we keep connecting and we keep learning from our elders, and they lived in such a different way than us when they were young. And I think we can learn so much from that. So yeah, that is a beautiful perspective, and thank you for sharing that. My next question I have for you is, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. So in American culture, death is generally seen as a scary and negative thing. How is death culture different in your traditions, and how can a new culture around death lift some of the weight and anxieties off of the youth?
I've never been asked this question before.
Yeah, it's kind of a big one.
It's refreshing. It feels interesting to answer to at a time where there is so much unnecessary death happening right now too.
Right.
But it's you know, definitely the culture around death is very different for for the way that I was raised, I think there's a larger overall, I think, cultural emphasis on cycles, and on human life, on life in general being cyclical rather than it being linear. When we die, when our bodies die, like our spirit continues its journey past this world. And my great grandmother, honestly, I've experienced personally very, very little death in my life. My great grandmother passed away last fall. And she was like the matriarch of our family. She like held so much space, so much wisdom. And I went down to Mexico shortly after she passed, and there was just such a beauty and emphasis on celebration of life for her legacy, for what she carried on. I mean, she took her final breaths, she was like holding on to what she believed in and fought for. So yeah, I think overall, just like, we have a lot to celebrate in this life. Yeah. And I don't believe that death is an ending either. But it's something I'm continuing to explore, understand better. And I think I've been relatively sheltered, honestly, from it too. So I think I have a lot to learn as well. Yeah,
me too, for sure. But it's definitely, every time that I learn a little bit more about death, it becomes a lot more beautiful and a lot more fascinating. And I think that it's important to talk about, because I think it's one of those things that, for me at least, like, people felt uncomfortable to talk about, or with other people it felt uncomfortable to talk about. But like, as I've gotten older, I've really started to see like how beautiful it is to really think about it and talk about it, and just to know that we can talk about it and that it's not some really negative thing. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so this is my next question, and I think this one's really important to get out there. But often many of us are paralyzed in fear by the climate crisis. And it can be difficult to take action or to know what to do. So in your experience, what are the best and fastest ways to get involved right now? Like, as soon as people got off this call, what is something they could do to get involved?
Yeah, I've been getting that question since, before I even understood. Before I even had a critical analysis on what that really meant. And I think in our culture, we're so used to looking for the easy fix, the easy solutions. What is a list of 5 things, 10 things we can do. And it's really hard because this crisis is not linear. It's very systemic. I think it is entrenched in so many other injustices that have paralyzed and built the wealth of this country, from colonialism to capitalism and white supremacy and patriarchy, and there's layers to unpack. And climate affects a lot of people really differently, and like seeing the videos of some of the students earlier in this little feed, like for them, like the very real connection to it for them is like, our homes, our valley, our snowpack, our connection to our nature. Right. And I think it's a different relationship for everybody. Whereas, kids in like South Central LA, they're, being like, my friends from South Central are being diagnosed with cancer because they grew up next to urban oil fields. Like, and that was their reality, and that was their upbringing. And it's like, everybody's being impacted differently, but it is going to change the world, and it's continuing to change the world. And so the simple steps, I think, is to recognize what ways can you interact with this crisis. And part of it is awareness, and part of it is, I think, really understanding that the way each of us individually interacts with the climate crisis is one small part of a very complex system. And I think the power of individual actions, the power of recognizing our own impact on the environment, isn't because, if we walk more than or we take public transportation more than we drive our cars, that it's going to stop the climate crisis. Like, it's not how systemic issues work. But the power in it is, it grounds us in this understanding that, like, we are connected to everything around us. We are connected to these mountains, to these forests, to these rivers, to these oceans, to these people on the other side of the world who are experiencing this in a different way. We are all connected. And the utilization of our voice and our power comes in many ways. So understand how you are connected to this issue, and understand how you can connect to your voice, because everybody's voice is expressed differently. Everybody's passion looks differently. And so I would say, like, have these conversations, break this down, and get uncomfortable. It's good to get uncomfortable, and it's good to be challenged. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm hella young still, but I've been experiencing being in this movement for 13 years, and I'm still like right now questioning everything about my own involvement and how to do it more effectively, better, how to understand more deeply, how to be more informed, how to operate from a place of greater compassion and understanding, how to humble myself. This is a complex one. There's a lot of layers to it, but I encourage people to find others in your community that you can engage in these conversations with, because there is so much light, there is so much organizing, there's so much change at a political level, at local levels. There's so much good that is happening in the spaces that has happened since the first Earth Day until now. And beyond that, you know, and I think it's going to be a continuous exploration for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So many layers, and definitely we have power in numbers to start tackling the individual problems of where we live. And I think you said that so beautifully, and I'm really grateful that I got to talk to you today. I think our time is about up, but I did want to ask you if you had any extra wisdom that you would like to share with our community today. Now would be the time.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for everybody who is helped organize, who helped put together this and hold this space. I think the fact that you guys are throwing events like this for your community is really powerful. Is that you guys are holding space like this. To have, you know, Native elders opening up the space is always beautiful to see. And I think understand also what this connection to your land really means. We are at a time of unprecedented change at every level, and I think we are being called upon to do more. We are being called upon to fight harder. We are being called upon to be selfless and recognize that the impacts of this crisis are not going to be evenly distributed, and many people are already suffering. That this is not an issue that is far off in the future, but it is something that the global community is feeling right now, and will continue to do so. And this pandemic is a glimpse of a lot of uncertainty and of the true brokenness of the infrastructure within this nation to help protect the most vulnerable of us. And I think now is a time for love. Now is a time for unity. Now is a time for us to come together and to push and to really understand that these moments of crises are where transformation emerges from. And we all have a responsibility to play our part within that. Use your voice, connect with your community, step outside of your boundaries, pop the bubble of where you grew up, and go outside and talk to people who don't look like you, message people on the internet that don't like you, learn, listen, be an ally, understand more deeply what it means to be on indigenous land. It is, and I'm looking forward to visiting sometime, being out there.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Thanks for opening up the space. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your presence.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us. And I know everyone in this valley is going to really appreciate all of your beautiful words. So it was so nice to speak with you, and I think we'll hand it off to Jasmine.
Yeah, thank you, Xiuhtezcatl. We're still aiming to have Xiuhtezcatl come out this. We don't know a date yet, either this fall or next Earth Day, but our goal is to get Xiuhtezcatl out here in person to perform. And he has actually a new album out, so if you want to check out some of his music, I believe yesterday or today was a brand new album release, Voice Runners.
Music video release, but the album is also out. You're good, you're good. Voice Runners though, that's the name, look it up.
Okay, Voice Runners is the name, as a music video release, so check it out. And I've been following his music. It's pretty incredible and powerful, just like he is. So thank you, X. All right, so thank you, Ari. Thank you, Xiuhtezcatl. That was incredible.